Of course, we take good note of the comments made by the President, and of course we'll let the Prime Minister continue his negotiations and will not negotiate in public. These has been the answers that I've been giving to every single question since the beginning of the negotiations. What I wanted to emphasize today is, as Minister in charge of industries and of the economy, is we are not alone in this world. We need to be closer to our allies. And that is why today is so important. It's been only 15 days that the Prime Minister signed an agreement with the EU to make sure that not only, of course, that we have free trade agreement, but that we are very closely aligned on defense and on all our industrial policies. And that's why Stéphane and I today are together, because we're in solution mode and we're trying to make sure that ultimately, while the US is becoming weaker, we will become stronger and we will diversify and turn ourselves towards Europe. Canada is the only country on earth, along with China, that has imposed so many counter-tariffs. So we have had already a very strong response, and we want to make sure that while we are putting pressure on the American administration, that at the same time we're creating, well, first we're protecting jobs while creating jobs. And we're making sure that we're doing this economic diplomacy, which usually would not necessarily be the case in a normal world, but we're not in normal times. And economic diplomacy is more important than ever, and that's why we need to make sure that while the US is closing its market and really taking its own path regarding protectionism, that we, as a stable and democratic country, continue to have open markets, including with the EU, and that's my job. Of course, we will make sure that we defend our workers. That has been at the core of everything we've been doing. But at the same time, we're dealing with a very unpredictable US administration. We're not the only ones. That's the case for the EU, and I won't talk, of course, for my colleague Séjourné, but that's the case also for every single country on this planet. So my point is right now is that we need to make sure that we're in action mode, we're in solution mode with other countries, because we're not alone. While the US will decide to undergo this protectionism path, we know that together we can be in favor of free and open markets, and that's also a really good way to negotiate.
Respectfully, Minister, there was no strong response, though, to, let's say, the increase of steel and aluminum tariffs. There was no strong response to the threat of copper tariffs incoming. Your government had to remove the DST simply just to get back to the negotiating table. So respectfully, what is the government actually doing to negotiate with the US and stand up for Canadians?
Well, you know, you're pretty much asking the same question as your colleagues. My answer is always the same. We won't negotiate in public, and we'll let the Prime Minister negotiate. And you know, it's a reality that pretty much all world leaders are dealing with right now.